Hi, welcome to the NPC Sports Podcast. It's been a while, but at the danger of bringing up islands at this time in human history, welcome back from the island, Mike, and welcome back to you as well, Logan.
Oh,
That's
jumping right into it, huh?
that is figuratively speaking. I've not been to any. Well, I have been to an island recently, but not that one.
It's been a while since we talked. That's the summer's gonna summer. And even though it's a little bit of a slower portion on the sports calendar, things have piled up for us to talk about. Obviously, we're fresh off the MLB All Star break. We have not really gotten a chance to speak since the Red Sox remembered how to play baseball again. So we're going to get deep into that. We'll touch a little bit on Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, whatever chapter this is of their little tiff. And then we'll end with Behind the Keyboard, where I think I at least want to peel back a little bit of a layer on a certain um, award and discuss a little bit of its merits or lack thereof. But before we get to that, the MLB All Star coverage was last night. I thought the game was good. I thought the home run derby was home run derby ish. Um, I think as far as media coverage, we're we're really getting to the point where I don't know what else we do coverage wise with a mid-season exhibition that is really kind of outdated in its concept. I thought the miking up of the players, especially the pitchers, during the early innings was a nice try. I thought Clayton Kershaw had a couple good moments, but with all those in-game mic'd up things, they're very reliant upon the person talking. Tariq Skubal was, whatever. And then the gimmick at the end, the home run derby, thought it was fun. I think I had the same reaction a lot of people did when they announced the three hitters and there's no Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani or anybody to be found. But that's why you made up that tie-breaking format, right? So that Brent Rooker could be the one that's
Jonathan Aranda's nice.
and Jonathan Ronda. The entire thing is laying on him. Go ahead, cut in.
I I shouldn't admit this, but this is a baseball problem, not a me problem. I've never heard of Jonathan Aranda until last night.
Oh, come on. He had that walk off against the Yankees in April. He has been bad or quiet the last couple of years, but
I,
I
but
thought he
I
was going to level out at some point, but he just hasn't.
but maybe we can use that as like a jumping off to what you're. I don't know if that's where you're going, but
Yeah.
generally speaking, but like state of the All Star game, and like I'm a nearly 40-year-old man with a life, so like it's different than it was in 1999. But like I also thought at one point, I'm trying to find it. I already forget. I tweeted about it, but at one point in the second inning, Jason Adam was pitching to Ryan O'Hearn, and it's like this is not Pedro Martinez pitching to Mark McGuire, and like so I do think that's part of the problem, right? Is again mostly on me for not knowing that human being we were just discussing, but like at the same time, I think that is kind of part of the issue. So that's tough.
Yeah. It is. I will say the 1999 All Star game. Like, I don't know if this is just a geographic thing for us, but like, I idealized those couple of days so much. Like, that was Fenway at its best. Like, that was the All Star game at its best. But to your point, Mike, it was like you see that photo of all those guys surrounding Ted Williams, and you look at the last names. It's like I know every single
Yeah.
one of these players. Even the depth guys. Um, yeah, I mean, I would venture to say that that was far and away the most exciting All Star game in years. So, like any sport, it was close. There was a ninth inning tie. It's ridiculous to tie the World Series home field advantage thing. So I'm glad that that's gone. And because of that, it doesn't make sense to do extra innings. Like the slugfest thing or whatever the swing off they called it. Like that logically makes sense. I know everyone's up in arms about the hitting selection. They probably should have been more forthright about that, I guess. That like the stars are bailing, so you're gonna get Jonathan Aranda and Kyle Stowers.
Never
But
heard of
like,
him either.
I don't. Why we're all talking about how the All-Star game's kind of useless. So why am I going to rail on Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani for not wanting to stick around? Like,
I also
Oh,
they're
those
think
guys are
already.
probably showered and gone. I'm gonna guess.
yeah,
by
no,
like
They
they
were on the
were. They
plane, from
are.
what I
They're
understand.
gone
Yeah, they were
before
gone.
like the 6th inning. And I think I'd heard or read this somewhere this morning. Like that list is like similar to like the NHL when you put in your lineups before the game. They submit that list before the game even starts. So like that was the
they don't
three
release
guys.
the list though. Before
I
the,
don't think so,
does
and
the
they
list
should.
does
I
the
guess,
list
in
exist?
hindsight.
I've
What?
heard
Yeah, they
conflicting
said-
things about whether the list exists.
I read this
Sorry, I'm
morning.
making
I
I'm
forget
making
where,
that
but it
up.
was someone I trusted.
I don't.
that-
I don't answer to anyone anymore, so I don't give a shit. Like let it rip. That's the real list
They were
talking about, right?
They were verified on Twitter.
Clients list.
Yeah, I'm talking about who is
It's
on the
more
list.
secret
They
than
need
that
to.
one,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
It shocks me. It absolutely shocks me though. Especially with all the T-Mobile stuff flying around the broadcast last night. I was absolutely shocked that fans don't vote via their mobile device on the 3 hitters they want to see. And I'm
Who
sure
are you voting for?
well,
Like,
that's my thing. Is it's like
that is made for people like us, though, who are like, "Oh, Brent Rooker's nice." Like, I'd love to see Brent Rooker just try and hit 310.
But they have like fans vote on the stupidest stuff, like who's
Yeah.
the Pee Wee Herman 2-hole batter of the game, and it's like no, have the fans vote on who should be in the swing off.
I think for like a swing off, we don't need to fix the All-Star. I've heard some ridiculous like suggestions. Like on the radio the other day, they were talking about the home run derby being like, I think it was on the midday show on the Sports Hub, saying like, if you don't participate in the home run derby, you miss like one playoff game or you're not eligible for the
Jesus
playoffs. It's like,
Christ.
guys, come on. But like with this kind of thing, like they should be like tie it into the host city or something and be like, Chipper Jones is the National League representative and whoever is the American League representative, and those guys will have some sort of competition at the end. So at least you can be like, there's a camera on Chipper Jones taking BP in the tunnel under the, as the game gets tight in the 8th or 9th inning. Do something like that. Like recycling guys that nobody's never heard of is not the best play. But like, I guess to Logan's main point, like that last night became kind of not secondary, but like that was a bonus, if you want to call it that, to what was a competitive all-star game, which is an oxymoron in today's professional sports world. So I give them credit for that. And like generally speaking, to kind of tie it back to that big picture idea and topic, like I give Major League Baseball and Fox credit for at least trying to fix or improve something that, like, Ben, to your original point, is kind of antiquated, like objectively. It doesn't, like, if we got rid of all-star games completely across the board, it wouldn't totally bother me. So like they're doing what they can with what they have.
Why can't it just be what it is at this point? Like I thought the swing off was a good thing, but it's like that is as entertaining. Last night's All-Star game is as entertaining as any baseball All-Star game is going to get at this point. Like, it was a close enough game. There were some fireworks at the end. Like, I don't really know what else I would expect out of an All-Star game at this point. So it's like, yeah, why can't it just be what it is?
Well, the interesting thing about the baseball All-Star game is like the competition isn't the issue compared to other sports. It's who's playing. You know what I mean? And it like you can excuse the NBA thing because it's LeBron. You know what I mean? But I guess like the appetite for that is getting less and less. But like the superstars in other sports, I guess this is mostly just the NBA versus MLB thing at a certain point. If you want to keep, the Pro Bowls, whatever, and the NHL thing is kind of whatever. But like, I guess that's the bigger issue is that we're not getting, the Pedro of it all or whoever. So maybe that's the bigger issue. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Scooble Skeens is good. Like I thought the pitching staffs were good, and I'm also one of those people that's like I don't think every team should have a representative, but I also think that the plot can get lost sometimes. Like this might not be a good example, but like Hunter Goodman has had a very good year, and it's like if you very closely watch baseball, you might recognize that Hunter Goodman's had a good year on a historically bad Rockies team, but it's like I don't know, does he deserve to be there over? Take your pick of any other National League, like Patrick Bailey. Like Patrick Bailey could sooner be there. But I do think like the league's going to reach an impasse where they have to decide, do they want to just basically try and make it like the 90s again where all the best guys go, or do they want to accept that in some cases some of these guys have had very good years? Like I know we made the point about Aranda, like as far as I'm concerned he belonged there. Like stacked up against, if you look at his numbers too, stacked up against all the other first basemen in the American League right now, like he's top 3 probably in terms of production, especially if you have O'Hearn as a DH. And so it's like, all right, well, would you rather have Aranda there, who probably deserves to be there, or you shoehorn in I don't know, Christian Walker? Like I'm trying to think of a first baseman that, from a name
Movan.
recognition, who
Movan.
Bovon, right? Something like
Tim
that.
Tomey.
Yeah, so it's like I looked at the rosters last night and I was like, these are all-star rosters made for me, and I'm like very much into the nuts and bolts of baseball.
That's
But I
a
remember
problem.
it is, yeah, because and to the point about like guys being mic'd up. I remember a couple of years ago watching the All-Star game with my wife, who doesn't care that much about baseball, and they had Charlie Blackmon mic'd up, and she was like, "This is actually pretty interesting." And I was like, "Wow, like is that like listen?" My wife listening to a guy play center field while he's like talking to them is interesting enough, and it's like, yeah, and that's Charlie Blackmon. That's not a household name, but there is something about like, yeah, I guess some of these things that don't work for us might work for the casual viewer, but I just don't even know who the audience is. To your point, is it me who like knows everyone, or is it the person that you're just trying to get to watch?
I like that every team has one player. I think that's good, but I don't think the A's should be getting more than one player. Um, I, my daughter does not like the mic'd up thing. She's like says it's distracting. Um,
Interesting.
and and then my last thing was just to compare, because Home Run Derby was on ESPN, game was on Fox. I don't know what you guys think. I feel like Fox, and this has been really kind of like a trend I've noticed over the recent years. I thought Fox did a much better job of portraying the moment in their coverage and making it feel big better than ESPN. And obviously, like, one's the game, one's the Home Run Derby. But, like, the Home Run Derby did used to be as big of a viewing item as the All-Star game. And, you know, the ESPN, they had Sports Center and like an hour of Baseball Tonight of kind of like people yucking it up leading into the thing, but they really didn't have a whole lot from about like 4 p.m. to about 6 p.m. on ESPN. And it just seems I've noticed the same thing when it comes to even like auto racing coverage, like with F1, and some other stuff where there's like competition, not direct competition, but like comparable sports programming between the two. I just feel like for whatever it is, whether it's playoff baseball, college football, whatever, I just continue to be impressed by Fox Sports's presentation of the moment compared to ESPN's.
That's interesting. I mean, I think ESPN's coverage of events is probably being affected by ESPN's general content strategy, and that's how you get Pat McAfee, doing the intros for the Home Run Derby, and like, he's not my cup of tea. I think he's a bore, and I think he just stinks. But like, they've invested so much into him that like they need to justify his existence, and like, using some carry or some crossover appeal, like they're gonna lean into that. And so like when they've made all these decisions to kind of invest in personalities and things like that, I have to imagine that kind of takes their eye off the ball when it comes to live coverage. Not that they can't do it, and obviously like the people who produce and direct those broadcasts are really good at their job. That's how they're at ESPN. But like, I do wonder if that's where some of like the content decisions start to seep in a little bit, and like that's how that manifests itself in their live coverage. I think you see it a lot too with I don't bang the McAfee drum all night, but like you see that with college football too. Like, he went from a guy who just basically had a radio show who played the NFL to being like, now he is front and center on College Game Day. When there's big games, he gets one of his alternate broadcasts. So like I think they're just trying to find ways to justify their major investments in talent in a way that doesn't always benefit the live coverage viewers.
Well, they also have a huge optics issue too because they laid so many people off after inking those deals and then the Stephen A extension and everything. So I do think there's added incentive to justify that. Yeah, McAfee moderating the Q&A session with the media was
Yeah.
absurd too. I mean, you saw the thing about the reporter taking him and Dave Roberts to task about the All-Star game being back in Atlanta, and it's like, is there anyone more ill-equipped to handle it than Pat effing McAfee? It's like he was pretending that she wasn't like enunciating, that he couldn't hear it, even though it was perfectly clear the entire time. It's just like, yeah, you need someone who's a little bit better on their feet than that. I don't. I'll need to think more about how to articulate what this is, but I agree wholeheartedly with your point, Ben, about like there's something about the Fox broadcast to me. It just like makes it feel a little bit more professional, a little bit bigger. Like there's just something about like whenever the World Series is on Fox, like there's just a vibe from when you watch it that's like this feels like they're presenting it as the World Series, even when it's just like kind of normal inning by inning sort of stuff. And I don't know what that is, but I don't get that feel with ESPN. I don't even like John Smoltz, so I'm not like, is it a broadcast crew thing? But yeah, I guess I think Mike raises a good point about like their live coverage has definitely become kind of part of the back burner because all their money is invested in daytime programming for the most part.
It's kind of backwards though, because it's like all the money that they get to spend on talent comes from the rights deals, and then they turn around and once they have that money, they reinvest it in ways that don't necessarily benefit what the money that they've just spent. I would say too, Logan, I think another piece of evidence to what you were just saying is like you look at Fox America's Game of the Week during NFL season, like it's either that or Sunday Night Football are easily the biggest games of the week. And a lot of that is like scheduling, and like I know ESPN got a better draw last year and into this year too for Monday Night Football, but like they poached again, this is the same thing. They poached Buck and Aikman from Fox, and those guys are like nothing compared to like Greg Olson at this point in the NFL broadcasting hierarchy. And like you watch those games on Sunday, that shit means something. Like that still feels, it's weird. Like I don't know if it's just the music or what, but I don't think it's that because Monday Night Football has its own, theme as well, but like you set in for 4:25 on a Sunday afternoon, you know what you're getting, and like maybe that's just a football thing, but you compare it to Monday Night Football even, and it's like with Monday Night Football, it feels like there's just as many headlines coming out of like the pregame show because Randy Moss or Rex Ryan or whoever said something, and McAfee or Stephen A is going to be on, and like it's secondary. It's like Bengals Browns coming up at 8:30. So I think that speaks to the fact that what you guys were saying was like they just do it better. And maybe that's because they don't have to put as much emphasis on the other stuff, and they can kind of keep focused on the rights that they do have.
Yeah,
Can we quickly
go ahead?
Oh, go ahead, Ben.
I was just gonna say, yeah, you guys brought up some good points because I think my first thought was, well, maybe ESPN is just stretched a bit thinner because they have so much more space they got to fill, and they have to do.
I was gonna make that point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they have to do, college lacrosse, and all that kind of stuff. Whereas Fox Sports, I think, rather notably, they don't have like what we think of as a traditional sports streaming app. Like they have the Fox Sports app. Every time I look, it just is streaming what's on FS1 and if they have a game on Fox. So they just have less inventory to fill. But I think the talent point is a good one because, yeah, I mean, McAfee is ubiquitous. I mean, he's all over the place, and there is kind of that subconscious thing where like he's a midday podcast show host, and then you turn on the pregame show for the Home Run Derby and you see a midday podcast show host, and rather than make you feel like I'm gearing up for this big prestige event, it's like, oh no, I'm watching a midday podcast, and that does kind of impact the feel of the moment.
Fox has David Ortiz, Alex Rodriguez, and Derek Jeter on their
right.
panel during big moments, and I don't even think
and they're not necessarily
David
good.
Ortiz isn't a great broadcaster.
Right.
Yes, thank you. They're not great broadcasters, but they're not Pat McAfee. Like you can at least listen once every few minutes. You'll get like a good exchange between Ortiz and A-Rod or one of them, and it's like, yeah, sometimes you have to parse through things, but I will take Alex Rodriguez rambling like a freaking idiot because he's boring more so than I will take Pat McAfee trying to talk about baseball. But like, at least don't insult me as a viewer because my brain's matured past 17.
More so than what they say, though, it's that if they're there, you know it matters. You know what I mean? Like, they don't just bring them in for Twins,
America's
Diamondbacks.
Game of the Week on Saturday.
You know what I mean? It's.
Yeah, it is. There's a certain level of like self-respect, I guess, based on who you're trotting out. And that's why like none of this to me is like, I know now ESPN and MLB are talking about their rights deal again. Like, what have we seen over the last few days that would make make Major League Baseball want to go back to talking to ESPN? Like they devote none of their daytime, money, but it's like they devote none of their daytime programming. Like I thought the home run derby is an awful watch now. And I think part of that is the format. But it's just like ESPN does phone it in on baseball.
I think that feeling's mutual too when it comes to that rights deal. I heard Jimmy Pitaro on one of the Ringer or not on the Puck podcast talking about that deal, and like it's basically at a standstill. They're like they can come to us if they want to reopen the deal. So like I think neither side sees much value in each other, and maybe that's a bigger thing to talk about with this whole. Maybe that's an important backdrop of this conversation too, where it's like there's not a ton of investment on either side in the other moving forward. So, who really cares? Ben, to your other point, like with the McAfee thing, like Berman, not my cup of tea as a 40-year-old man at this point in my life, but like that does kind of speak to the staple, like the broadcast staple that you guys are talking about, whether it's, you turn it on, you associate this with that, like Berman doing the home run derby was, that's pretty timeless. And so like that is another thing too, where it's like it feels like ESPN has gotten away from that as well, where they don't have guys who are synonymous with whatever they're doing. Like I'm trying to think of other examples of that, like even like Gary Thorne doing NHL, like that's no longer a thing. Maybe Sean McDonough if you want to count him for their hockey stuff, but like they don't have a lot of staples anymore, and that's part of it too.
They're too embedded in the corporate, I mean, not media thing, this expands beyond just media, but any corporation in terms of just being like looking for the next big thing and being like, we're going to throw it all at this. And it's like, I'm right there with you, Mike. Like Chris Berman as a home run derby announcer, that in a vacuum, it's like, yes, that is attached to it. Could I listen to him say back over and over again for the rest of my life? I'd probably prefer not to, but it's like it sounded dead with Carl Ravitch doing it the other day. And I will say quickly, I've never felt like more of an old man than watching the home run derby and like looking over at my wife and being like, this was different when I was a kid and this was so much better. And I saw a clip of some guy admiring his home run after hitting it in 2003 or something like that. It was like 15 seconds between the pitches. And it's like, I know that those things could drone on sometimes, and there's a way that they needed to cap that, but it's like the freaking frenzy of, pitch after pitch. And the guys are, you got whoever, Pete Alonso doubled over because he's just taken 45 swings, and you've got Jazz Chisholm who knows he's not going to put one out. He's like, I was just trying to hit line drives. It's like, no, just like cap it, let guys hit moonshots and admire them, and then call it a day. But everything's got to be changed because they're appealing to a fan base that doesn't exist.
All right. That's good.
That's a big issue, just generally speaking, with sports media. Not to go down that route, but like, it's a lot of that when it's like you're alienating the only people who actually watch by trying to get more people to watch. Golf has a huge problem with that, which I can go on for days, but we don't have to.
Sticking with baseball, but moving to games that actually matter. Let's see. Last time we talked about the Red Sox, we were pretty firmly burying them. I think we had traded everyone. We had not yet traded Devers. Oh, yeah, we had. We had just traded Devers. And we were preparing to trade everyone else. Since then, I don't know if you guys have heard. Certainly hasn't been mentioned very often. they've won 10 in a row. Coming out of the All-Star break, a lot of talk about them being buyers. And in the interest of fairness, possibly to lay the stage for, I think, what the three of us kind of do want to discuss. That 10-game win streak is against, admittedly, the Cincinnati Reds, the Colorado Rockies, and the Tampa Bay Rays. Reds, I think, better than people give them
Nationals.
credit for. And then wait,
Nationals
Reds?
instead of Reds, I think. It was Nats, Rockies, Rays.
Nats,
sorry.
Rockies.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Reds, they did not.
You
do
know I
very
love
well
the
again.
Rockies, so I wasn't gonna miss that.
So Rays not bad. Rockies obviously terrible. Nationals, have been the Nationals. I gotta give them credit though. I mean, they didn't beat the Angels, and the Angels are bad. So beating bad teams is what you got to do. But I do think that coming out of the break here, we're gonna find out what they actually are. They come out of the break. I was looking at their upcoming schedule. It is a tough schedule. And I think we're really gonna find out what this team is in the last 2 weeks before the trade deadline, which is the way it should be.
I have a potentially hot take if I could. I think beating the brains out of bad teams could do long-term damage to the Boston Red Sox organization because they're going to be buyers at the deadline, and I still don't think they're very good. And so, I don't think they're going to mortgage the future, but I think they're going to miss out on a glorious opportunity to sell at the deadline because they're not very good. And so because they just won 10 games in a row against dog shit teams, they are now fully in the playoff hunt, which good for them. They won games. This is not necessarily a reflection of the 26 men in that clubhouse. Good for them. Your job is to play baseball. They're doing a great job at that. I don't want to necessarily take anything away from that, but if I were to bet on it, I don't think they have a great long-term outlook for the 2025 season. And because of that, I think they would have benefited from selling off pieces like Chapman, Duran,
Bueller,
Giolito. They could be serious sellers, and not in the most positive way at the deadline. Now they're going to have to say we got to do something because we're in it. And I feel like I'm being a little unfair maybe by criticizing them for that, but if they kind of go 3-7 out of the break, they're going to be in a real weird place come the end of the month where it's all right, now what do we do? And that's how you kind of get back in that middle spot, which is never good. So if they build it, if they sustain the momentum, I will give them credit in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks by the end of the season. But I think there's a real possibility they just completely undid something that they could be building on for next year by screwing it up. That being said, I'll also kill them for letting them get into a position where they even had to contemplate selling. It should have never gotten that far. So that's they deserve scoring for that as well. I also, last thing, I'm not going to give them credit for Devers. That is, again, I heard it was Jen McCaffrey who does good work. I heard her on the Sports Hub the other morning being it's hard to argue with the results. They're better. They're more flexible without Rafael Devers. It's no, that's poor roster management that got to the place where they felt they had to trade their best player to make sure that their best prospect could get playing time or whoever. And they traded Rafael Devers to get Masataka Yoshida in the lineup. Get out of here. They are not better without Rafael Devers. And also, what took them so long to get Cora keeps raving about how much better they are. What took them so long to get the young kids up here? There's just so many. They're falling into success right now, and if they sustain it, I will give them credit, but I am skeptical as skeptical can be.
The Anthony thing has aged so poorly because he's playing so well. It was incomprehensible that they kept him down there as you were left with nothing else than they were manipulating his service time. And now it's hey, you probably could have saved yourself a lot of headaches and been in a better spot. And I mean, I won't take the victory lap yet of saying they shouldn't have started the season with Christian Campbell, because if they start him in AAA, a lot of things probably go differently. Your lineup is unequivocally better without Rafael Devers in it. And if you think you're going to compete, then that is a massive loss. Even if you think you can maybe keep up the DH production in the aggregate with Yoshida and Ref Snyder, but and then like Anthony on occasion, but still, like, what are we doing if we're talking about replacing Devers in the aggregate with Ref Snyder and Yoshida? It's just like not. It's not how that should work. To the point, I agree. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I just want to make sure that like the necessary background here is that I'm operating what they told me is that they were going to compete this year. So like everything I say about them right now is judged on that. I'm not letting them off the hook for saying that. They intended to compete and they stunk early and it changed some things. Go. Sorry, I apologize.
You're right. I mean, I think as far as the deadline's concerned, like I do think there is a world, and maybe this is just because I'm so tired of watching Walker Buehler, but like you could trade him and get something back, and that's not a net loss. You know, like he's been bad for that. Like if you think you're going deep, I wouldn't trade Chapman, but like obviously, I mean, the Kansas City Royals got Cole Reagans for Aroldis Chapman when the Rangers traded for him. So like, you know, there are merits to those kind of things if you think, you know, whoever is going to be able to anchor the back of your bullpen. You know, the only thing I will say about your point, Mike, as far as an approach is I don't think they should go after rentals, or at least give up a lot for rentals. Like one rental that I would consider is like Josh Naylor. Like he would solve a lot of issues for them because he would shore up first base. They could put him in the middle of the order, and he's a good plate discipline guy with a little bit of power. Like that makes sense. But I wouldn't want to give up a haul for Zach Gallen, who has been objectively bad this season and is a rental and is going to cost you more than like Merrill Kelly or someone like that. That's why I'm all in on the idea of Joe Ryan. If they want to trade Durand and like a trove of prospects for that, do it because he will help you beyond this year. And like Crochet completely changed the dynamic of this team. And so the idea of Crochet and Joe Ryan 1-2 is incredibly tantalizing. So I can understand doing moves like that for the future. I'd like to see them maybe walk a line and, you know, move someone like a Buehler, but I don't think they'll do that purely off of optics. But I agree. Like, you got to smack the Rockies, but at the same time, they might have given themselves kind of a false illusion of what they are.
There's still time, right? I mean, there's still 2 weeks for them to come back.
But they are so entrenched in the race now that, like, they would have to go 0-10. They'd have to completely undo it for them to, like, Brett. The other thing is, and this is some kind of building off some of what Logan said, is like Breslow has been, since trading Devers, like, adamant that if they are in contention, they're going to add at the deadline, to the point where he's probably overplayed his hand.
Yeah.
So I mean, short of a disastrous streak, they are probably stuck in that, you know, committing to that route.
Every MLB insider this week was like, the Red Sox are going to buy and they could be a legitimate World Series contender. What was that about? It's like this team was dead and gone before they ran into the Nats and Rockies. Like the Rays series, there's the only one that impresses me.
Long term,
even then, like I could pick that Rays series apart if I really wanted to.
Love Ha-Sung Kim though. That was a big get back for them.
Long term for baseball, I do think it will be interesting to see, like, if the benefit of adding the additional wildcard teams and drumming up interest in more teams in the playoff race versus potentially making the trade deadline less interesting as a result. Like, which one of those outweighs the other? Because now that more teams believe they're in it, you're not necessarily, like, you know, if there wasn't those additional wild cards, somebody's getting a Aroldis Chapman. You know, somebody's getting Jarren Duran. You know, I came up with a trade that I would love. I would love for the Phillies to get Story and Wong, and for the Red Sox to get one of the Phillies have a few minor league pitching prospects. Like Bryson Stott has forgotten how to hit, and you know, the obviously, but now it's like, you know, Duran. The Padres apparently want Duran really bad, but there's no one to offer them. Chapman, you know, your point, like they could get anything for Chapman. What they could do with those deals to set themselves up for the future is very enticing. But at the same time, there's also like, I want to watch meaningful baseball, And there's a reason that 13 team still is one of my favorites, because it was built with pieces that they were intending to trade away at the trade deadline, and they figured it out. So I don't know. Yeah, I want to watch meaningful baseball, but yeah, if that ends in a wild card round loss or a divisional series loss, I will be looking at this trade deadline and be like, they probably should have traded those guys away.
Well, look at the deadline that, every Red Sox veteran threw a fit about when Chaim Bloom started moving pieces. Like, they got Willie Abreu that deadline, like
Who now could be traded. Their only guy who knows how to play the
trade.
outfield.
Yeah. Man, I will tell you what. I want Abreu here for a while. Like, when it comes to moving the outfielders, take Duran. Like, especially because you can probably get more out of him. The bottom's going to fall out on that guy at some point. And so I just, yeah.
I totally agree. I don't even think it's like, I don't even think you can make an argument that their best outfield moving forward is Anthony Rafaela and Abreu for like the aggregate of all of their skills. Like, it's the best defensive, and whatever you maybe give up offensively with a Rafaela over Duran, you can maybe make up for with Anthony's potential. Like, yeah, I think that if Duran is on this team on August 1st, they're either gutless or like
They
dumb.
didn't buy.
You know what I mean? Like, it's, or they were, yeah, I think it's more like, I think it's more of, it'll be, they were afraid to kind of pull the trigger on a deal like that because, yeah, that, like, there's no point. It's just, what are you building toward here? Are you amassing good players? Or are you trying to build a team?
It's so obvious that they need to just go get pitching with some of it. Like, elevating the starting rotation completely changed this team. And that was with one player. And you have this ridiculous surplus. And to the point about Rafaela, they did 8 years of overshadowing a weak offensive, a streaky center fielder offensively in Jackie Bradley Jr. Like, if the surrounding cast is fine enough, then Rafaela hitting 220 with occasional 3-week, torrid stretches is fine.
Like, them going 5 games over 500 the rest of the year to finish 13 games over 500, which I guess would be really good. But like something in that neighborhood, plus getting a starter like Joe Ryan, they are a legit World Series contender. Like, that's how close they are. I don't want to sound like I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, and I'm not wishing for a dead baseball season, but like, I guess a lot of my issues come from the fact that they could be legitimate contenders by putting their balls on the table. And like, this is like, we are in like this 6 weeks or however many weeks it's going to be of like it's probably going to make or break Craig Breslow's stint as chief baseball officer, whatever the hell he's called. So like, this is like, let's go. It's not cutting time, baby. Like, you're built like, and I give them credit. I think they like the fact that they can go out and deal for a guy like that and not have it be, a major issue on the major league roster right now is a credit to the work that they've been doing. So,
yeah, no, I mean, whether you want to say Breslow was left with a great situation by Chaim Bloom or whatever, but I really do think that this is maybe the best crop or the best, most advantageous position as far as having talent going into a trade deadline that I can ever remember. Because even when they've had good players, they've had players who either like Xander Bogaerts, whose contract is expiring, or players who just their contracts are so large no one's going to take them, or they don't have team control, all that kind of stuff. But they have so many players like Duran, who is under team control, and so many pieces that you could include in these deals. Bueller and Chapman alone are like, those two could net you a haul just by themselves. And even like I referenced Wong earlier. Wong's not been great, but he's a controllable, youngish catcher who has a history of hitting. Like, they have such a plethora of things that they could do stuff with that they have not had in a while. And I hate the idea of just saying blow it up, but I think back to what Mike's point at the beginning of this, they have such an opportunity to set themselves up so well for the future here if they just say, you know what, this recent streak be damned, we're just gonna start selling off.
They could buy though, like even like I was just gonna say, like Garcia in Worcester is blocked. And he's just like, those are the perfect guys to take advantage of as trade chips right now, where it's like nobody actually knows if he's good, but the hype keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you've got nowhere to put him. Like, go get weird. Like, it's a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I'm kind of talking myself into they can do both because like, which is crazy, but they're also a 500 team. Like, take expectations aside, that's kind of the right path. But like, if they end up at, I don't think they're getting. I think Joe Ryan would be an off-season thing. He's the like trade deadline pipe dream. But hypothetically, if you lose Bueller, Chapman, and Durant, but you get Joe Ryan, I don't. I think that's a net positive for the Red Sox because it's like bullpen arms are erratic. Like Chapman was on an expiring deal anyways. Bueller's been terrible, also on an expiring deal. And then Duran was part of a surplus. And then you just elevated your rotation in a big way. Like that to me is you can still get rid of some of those pieces. And depending on what you do, spin it as you still bought. Like they are in a very advantageous position, but I don't. I I feel like there needs to be a level of being measured here because otherwise they're going to get way too far in front of their skis. And it's like, I don't want them going all in on this year, especially with rentals.
We shall see. We'll talk next week. We won't let
They
it.
need the Twins to sell. The more I look at it, like,
Oh man, I always wonder if Bailey Ober's available. Like that's because he would be the one that's probably a little less expensive than Joe Ryan, but Ober last year was insane. He's been bad this year.
the
But
Twins are in
they're going to
perfect
end up
posi-
with
like,
Chris Paddock.
yeah,
Like,
the Twins are a better version of like the Red Sox as sellers, where they've got a lot of options that they can move, especially with all the financial stuff that they're having. But they're 2 games under 500, 11 game back. Who knows? Like, it's tough.
Arizona selling's a big one too, like league wide.
Arizona, I think, is a perfect like where they trade Suarez. Like they could be right back here next year. Because I think
Suarez,
this
Allen, Kelly,
Yeah.
like Shelby Miller, all those guys.
Yeah.
And they would still have a core.
Yeah. All right, how much time do you guys want to spend on Bill Belichick?
2 minutes.
If you can tell my tone,
Yeah, it's
old men yelling at each other. So I don't know. Logan, break it down for us as someone who may have followed it a
So
little bit closer than I have.
Robert Kraft went on Julian Edelman's podcast and basically said that he took a big risk by hiring Bill Belichick. And then Belichick felt compelled to comment about that on ESPN. Basically said, I took a big chance coming to the Patriots. Guess what? They're both right. I don't know why either of them needs to say that. Like, changing jobs always has inherent risk. Like, Belichick was pulling a Josh McDaniels and about to ruin his chance at getting any other head coaching job for spurning the Jets the way he did. And then Robert Kraft was well known for being an overstepper. And, you know, they each were taking a chance. And they're all, this whole thing, it's so embarrassing of Kraft, Belichick, and Brady. Brady has been the best about just being like, I'm just going to let my work speak for itself. Why are Kraft and Belichick getting behind microphones and trying to laud all this stuff? I know Kraft's trying to get himself into the Hall of Fame and before he dies, and maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. But it's like, it's just embarrassing to watch these guys litigate this ultimately petty stuff. And it's like, all right, like if you want to spend your 70s and 80s doing this, go ahead. But like history will remember the work that they did together. So the fact that they're trying to do all this publicly is just insane to me.
That's what's hilarious. Like, I don't think like 30 years from now there's gonna be people like debating who gets more credit for that Patriots dynasty that the people debating it didn't actually see. Like, I don't think anyone gives a shit at that point. Like, and honestly, it's all gonna go to Brady anyway. Like, when it comes to, we talk about like the Steelers, like Chuck Noll gets some credit, but that was Terry Bradshaw's team. Like at the end of the day, I think we kind of resort, or like it's the players get the credit. So like they're fighting over something that doesn't even totally exist in any sort of meaningful way. On this one specifically though, I think Belichick didn't do himself any favors. Like it was pretty rough seas there for a while with him and Jordan and everything going on with them. And we've largely kind of forgotten about that. Like somebody got to them and said, shut up and chill. The season's going to be here before you know it. But like, he just put himself right back into it. And it's like, dude, don't you do you want to win football games in college or not? Like, just worry about your job and let that take care of itself. Coincidentally, if he comes out and goes 9-4 or whatever, and goes to a bowl and he acquits himself well to the college game and has success, people are gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, he's still doing it. He can still do it. Like, good for him. He went and adapted. And if the Patriots go 5-12 again this year, Kraft looks even dumber. So like by opening his mouth, Belichick just like made it worse for himself. Just leave it alone. You're Bill Belichick. You have a bajillion dollars. You have countless Super Bowl rings. You have a 24-year-old girlfriend or fiance. You have a job. Like, just let it go. Life is too short, man. Like, come on.
He undercuts everything he said he's never cared about by
Yeah.
having rabbit ears like this. Like that, no one just magically develops those in a role like his. So it's just exposing some of the more disingenuous or like the front he was putting up with the Patriots, because it has always been obvious that he pays attention to that stuff. But now it's like, yeah, man, like this is kind of your own undoing that you're weighing in on all of this.
I do kind of appreciate though that I think like Robert Kraft, for as senile as he might be getting, like still absolutely knows which buttons to push when it comes to Belichick. Like I think this was somewhat calculated where he's like, I'm just gonna needle him while I can here because I know that this is the exact thing that gets to him. I think he knows as well as anyone what kind of shit drives Bill Belichick crazy. It's like there's that. I think they are basically behind. I forget what the source was, but somebody basically was like, he's not like somebody said within the Patriots organization that Belichick just isn't very smart. It's like I think they know exactly how to needle him, and so from that aspect, it is kind of funny, but it's just also kind of sad when it's like, my dude, you've got like far more days behind you than you do ahead of you. Like let's maybe not worry about that. Why don't you go to the white party, go hang out with Jay-Z and Michael Rubin, and stop trying to chase something that you may never get anyway.
I like the thought of Kraft just like going on a podcast to give a quick sound bite and then like getting on his private plane to like go to like the cottage for 2 weeks and like come off the grid just so while like Belichick needs to like, and then just coming back and be like oh yeah, for the last 2 weeks you've been pissing off Bill.
Yeah, just walks away.
I'm thinking about like, imagine, I feel like the answer will be the same for all of us, but like what would the equivalent be in my position? It's like I could do that to Dakota Randall very easily, where it's like if we were in a public facing position like that, it's like someone whose buttons you just know how to push, and it's like I can say this one thing very mellowly and I know that he just can't not take the bait and he's gonna be silly about it, and it's like that is a funny way to spend your mid-80s.
It's like Ben and his new favorite Phillies shortstop, Trevor Story, like
yeah, we really didn't hammer down that much.
All of a sudden, Ben wants Trevor Story.
Yeah, Dark Ben just wanted Trevor Story on the Phillies the whole time.
Trying to figure out ways to get Wembanyama to the Sixers too while he's at it. Like he's just
a long con. I really want a 257 hitter.
Hey, he's been hitting well.
Baseball.
And Connor Wong. Oh my God, I'm just thinking about if I had floated a Trevor Story and Connor Wong take of packaging them together.
That's a fair point.
Thank you.
Congrats on your fair points. All right. Yeah, Belichick Kraft. I don't know. I don't know
exactly.
I don't know if anyone else is fatigued of those guys.
Crafted you.
What's that?
I said I just crafted you.
You've been crafted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ben always says he hates Trevor Story. I don't get it.
Where was I? Oh, behind the keyboard. Can we talk about the Emmys a little bit?
I am super excited to figure out where this is going and how this is going to apply to us. Yeah. Well, take it away.
I'll go on. Yeah, I'll go on mute for a second.
Just go on mute. So, I think so. The what everybody thinks of as the Emmys, the primetime Emmys, I think got announced yesterday or getting announced today or something like that. I don't really know. I don't really care. I'm not a big awards guy. But I know you guys are aware, but I think most of the public is not aware that all Emmys are not created equal. There's like levels and tiers of Emmys. So like you say you're an Academy Award winner, for instance, you won an Academy Award at the Academy Awards. The Emmys are a little bit different. There are the primetime and the daytime Emmys, which are the big ones that are on televised and all that. There's also what are called regional Emmys. And a lot of people are multiple time Emmy Award winners. The way the regional Emmys works is somewhat different than what you think of if you think of the Grammys or whatever it might be. Regional Emmys, you kind of pay to enter, and there are a lot of different categories, and the categories are very nebulous, and they are subject to morphing into different things from year to year with various levels of categories. And I thought that this was very eye opening when I was very young, when someone I knew won an Emmy, and I was surprised how they won an Emmy because they held a very low level role on a very lightly viewed piece of television content, and they kind of explained to me how it went. And the show that they worked on was in a very niche category. It was like a subset of a demographic, of a sport, of a region, of a level of play. And they won it for, like, the show didn't win it. They won it for, like, background sound editing of a local, non-professional, semi-weekly digital sports show or something like that. And when they, and of which there were, I think there were 3 entrants. And the way the voting worked is, so the way the regional Emmys voting works is you have a panel that votes. They give their votes. I think the top 4 vote getters automatically become finalists. So if you have less than 4 shows in the category, you're guaranteed to become a finalist because the top 4. And then from those 4 vote getters, they vote again. So it often is just exactly the same order because people are just, it's the same people re-voting once again. Again, on a nomination that people paid to be put into that category. Then once you win the Emmy, you don't receive a trophy. Again, stop me if you guys are aware of this, or if not. You don't receive a trophy for winning an Emmy. What you do when you win an Emmy is you get notified and you get told that your show and your competency won an Emmy. Here is your order form to purchase your Emmy. So you fill it out and you send it in, and they send you the trophy. And this happens. I don't know how the national Emmys work, but that's how the regional Emmys work. So I'm very proud and happy for everyone who has won an Emmy, deservedly or not. I'm sure they look great on the mantelpiece. But there is a trutherism that has to be pointed out, especially with the regional Emmys, that each time someone shows you their regional Emmy award, ask them how much it costs, because I don't know how much it costs now. I know that in, I think, 2007 or 2008, it wasn't cheap. It wasn't like a bonkers amount of money, but it wasn't cheap. So it's a great way to buy some decorations for your fireplace.
What do TV executives think is the net benefit of being like a multi-Emmy award? Like
because your audience doesn't know what they are. Your audience doesn't know.
Yeah, but
they don't
but
care.
because of that, I'm saying, like, does that draw more people? Like, for what you're paying for the investment of saying, of getting into all these Emmy categories, it's like, does that pay off in, like, respect? Like, especially when this is a known thing in the industry. I don't know.
I don't mean to be too blunt. I just think it's like inherently vain and selfish industry, and this just appeases that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like I was, it's kind of hard to totally comment on this when I've only had one job. So, criticizing people, but you see other people in the industry, I suppose. I will say a project that I was a large part of, was nominated for multiple New England Emmys. I was not part of the nomination for a handful of reasons. If I was and I had one, I'd probably buy the trophy. Just to, like, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like, so I get it. Like, it would look sick right behind me. I get, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, right.
But it would be more of a joke. It'd be like, you won an Emmy. I was
Yeah.
like, well, I won a fake Emmy.
Yeah,
it's
it's like the Red Sox World Series ring I
yeah,
had sitting right here from
yeah. I have.
2018. Yeah,
That's
they couldn't
exactly.
have
I
done
have
it
one right
without me.
next to my rings too. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't wear it out, but I show people like, oh yeah, I have a World
yeah, you
Series
want to
ring
see
because
it?
it's so
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, yeah, to me, it's all about the presentation of it. How are you billing it? You know, it. There is some. I,
There are local
to
people
your
who put like 3-time Emmy winner in their Twitter bio or something, and it's like that's
well, so
just like
that's what I was gonna say. Is
it's like you are
that
not
I think
Kiefer
is intentionally
Sutherland or whatever. Like
yeah, that's intentionally deceptive, I think, and that's one of those things that it's like I feel like journalism, especially broadcast media, has just become so like vapid and surface and image focused that like this whole Emmy thing is a perfect encapsulation of that. That it's like, so you'd rather just have the trophy and say like I'm a multi-time Emmy winner than actually like, do something to earn it or work. Like I actually don't blame anyone for being like, all right, I won an Emmy, I'm gonna get a trophy just because I won an Emmy. But it's like, are you walking around saying I'm a multi-time Emmy winner? Am I this? Am I that? Because for people who do know, it's like I look at that and I immediately think like, all right, so you're trying to overstate what you do or how, competent you are at your role. And that like I have an issue with people who go into journalism because they want to be famous, or things like that. Like it's just like it's not that's kind of a big J journalism thing, but it's like that right there is the type of thing that's like, oh, I'm an award-winning journalist. Like I have this massive Twitter following. I have this. I don't give a shit. Like, what? Tell me what you've actually done.
speaking of things you could needle Dakota over.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah.
No, it's the bragging about it that gets to that point. Because I also know someone who, I went to there and they had like 3 Emmys up on the thing, and I was like, oh, 3 Emmys, right? And and essentially, it came out that like they've won like 15 times, but they just got tired of buying the trophies because they're like, this is stupid. Like the first 3 times I was all excited, but now it's like, no, I'm not gonna give you money for another trophy just to like have them lined up. But it's the point if someone it's like making it their, yeah.
I will say too, this isn't just like TV. Like the APSE awards and stuff like that are just as like if you have to nominate yourself or nominate your writer, their work, like it's not a true recognition of like the best work that's done, especially in like a rapidly expanding field. So
Yeah.
and I think the Emmys are kind of seeing that too, where it's like, how do you judge YouTube and stuff like that? So like that's the other thing. There's another element of like the evolving state of media and specific platforms and media, like that's complicating the discussion even more too. So it's not
Well,
just the local or the regional Emmys.
I mean, you're seeing it. I know, Mike, I've been accused of not watching golf, but that Grant, what's his name? The guy
Horvat,
who got
yeah.
invited to the Horvat, yeah, who got invited to the PGA event and is basically saying no because he couldn't have his own cameraman there. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that guy's probably going to bring more eyes to the PGA Tour, but I also get that the PGA has poured, hundreds of millions of dollars into rights deals with things. So, like, that gets murky. And so, yeah, all these, like, especially legacy media are going to have to figure out how to coexist because that's changing. And, like, the award show thing is just so, like, I don't know, pretentious, maybe, that it's like, I don't know. It's not a good encapsulation of
It is kind of funny that we're like bookending this episode with like relatively hollow personal honors and achievements, where it's like for like antiquated, industries or whatever. It's like the baseball All-Star game versus like TV awards, regional sports,
When is doing good work just not satisfaction enough? Like I know I sound like a boomer saying that, but it's like
I was gonna
if you're a journalist, but thinking about it purely through a journalist lens, I'm 30 years old. Okay, it's like if you feel like you are doing a service to your readership, to your audience, whatever, if you find value in that, why do you need your company to pay for you to get some sort of recognition? It's just like it's self-indulgent. And so to me, it's just it puts people's priorities in the wrong place because that's how you get these people who don't know how to write a straight news story, but they'll give you some like awful feature with a 700-word anecdotal lead because they get all these awards for it that their editor submitted them for. It's just it sends the industry in the wrong direction.
It's hard to argue. But I also think you're like the way you're looking at it is maybe a little outdated and
Cynical.
yeah, it's just like I think there's just as many people if you go to like a journalism. I think Ben can speak better to this than we can, obviously, but like, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of kids going into that profession, especially with how perilous it's been in recent years, and it'd be like, all I want to do is seek truth and report it. Like, I don't think that's,
Yeah. Thank
it's
you,
like,
Marty
no, actually,
Dobrow. Yeah.
yeah, it's like I want to be Bill Simmons, or actually that's aging me too. Like Bill
Yeah.
Simmons isn't even the guy anymore. It's like I want to be,
Pat
Bob does
McAfee.
sports or Pat McAfee. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
To be clear, I don't besmirch anyone for taking pride in a job well done or being, being proud of working on something that was of high quality and, wanting to, wanting people to know that. I think that's an admirable thing. I just think it's worth being aware that a campaign, you need a campaign essentially to win a regional Emmy. And there's work involved in getting nominated and getting people to vote for you. And there's so with that in mind, it's similar to like a political campaign, right? Like at the end of the day, like someone gets the most votes and they ask for those votes. Like they put a lot of work into getting those votes, but they still won and they still get to say that they are senator or whatever. You still get to say that you're an Emmy winner. It's just not to make the political it's not just George Washington saying I don't want to become president and an overwhelming amount of people saying no, you're the president. Like, yeah. Fine, I will take on the mantle of Emmy winner because that is all what the people want. No, you asked for that, you wanted that. Yeah,
you're just like you're not rewarding the most qualified or most talented necessarily. Like it's just because especially in media where it's like there's like 1,000 kids out there who could do the job of the person who just won a New England Emmy or whatever, but like because they work at a certain company and were afforded an opportunity, they get that as opposed to somebody who's just as talented as they are, which is like
I think it's just
thing too.
Yeah, I agree with your point, Ben, that like people should be proud of their recognitions. And like I said, like if you get an Emmy, go for it. Like whatever. You want to brag about it, sure. But just know that it's like the people who wear it like a badge and are like, I'm a multi-time Emmy winning anchor. It's like that is very easy to see through. And it's just again, like this is purist journalism, but I do think it's antithetical for these outlets to be like, we are trying to cover things fairly, we're trying to be objective, we're trying to be this, we're trying to be that, and then you're running campaigns for awards. Like that just, I feel like those two things kind of contradict each other.
Also, your peers just think you're a dork.
Yeah, I guess so.
At the end of the day,
well,
like,
yeah,
as like a baseline thing, like if that's something, like
yeah.
They should give out Emmy rings. You can wear your ring.
Yeah, I mean,
should I wear my Red Sox ring for the end of this episode?
I'm a 2-time World Series champion, so I should put that in my.
Aren't you a Stanley Cup champion?
Yeah, Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah, I didn't get a ring for that though.
Well, that's a classic. That's a perfect. That's the perfect like.
That's a good idea.
I didn't get a ring though.
I might change my thing to 2-time World Series winner, 1-time Stanley Cup winner. One of the only people in the history of the earth to achieve as much, but the only other ones I worked with.
Modern day Dave Diedrichson up here, yeah.
But like I don't know, maybe that was a little bit more like of a meritocracy. It's because I had only been there a year or whatever. I got a watch instead of a ring, and it's like, well, even though it probably had more to do with like the fact that the team didn't want to pay for it, the company, But
yeah, so come back next week when we'll crap all over Nobel Peace Prizes.
Oh man, we don't need to get into the nuts and bolts of awards. It'll just be disappointing. Don't get me started on the Grammys.
You guys have anything else to cover?
I'll quickly say, so I went to bed before the All-Star game was over. I will admit to not knowing that the swing off was part of the thing.
Me either.
My first understanding of what happened was this morning. I look at my phone and the first sports notification I have is Kyle Schwarber becomes first player to win All-Star MVP without recording a single hit. and he's a DH. So I was like, what the hell did Kyle Schwarber do in a 7-6 game that recording a single hit? And then the next notification is he won the swing off thing, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So
I
caught up
misread
on all
something.
that
I
this
thought he
morning.
went like 3 for 3. Like that's what I had seen. And so like I saw a headline saying like he went 3 for 3, and it was like the home run guy. So he like won the MVP. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But now that you're telling me this, I'm just learning it in real time. And what?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I had basically the combination of your two guys. I didn't know about the swing off, so it came to the end of this ninth inning. I'm like, I'm not watching extra inning All-Star baseball. Got up this morning, looked at my phone, and it said Kyle Schwarber 3 swings, 3 home runs, wins All-Star MVP. I'm like, he didn't even get 3 at bats. How did that happen? So
yeah.
But hold on. But did you guys hear about MVP gate?
No.
So
Was it something with Alonso
no.
involved too? Was
Or
Rooker?
So somebody apparently last night went to the announcement in 2002 or whatever when they announced that the swing off format was coming. And in the rules of the thing is that they said the swing off, if it happens, is not part of the game. So the MVP has to be someone who comes from the first 9 innings. And it was in the article. They screenshotted it and they tweeted it last night. This morning, somebody was like fact checking it. They went back and looked, and it's not there anymore. But they used the Wayback Machine. Apparently, it was removed in the early hours of this morning at like 4 a.m. Eastern time.
Hell yeah.
So
Give it to me.
They went in and they changed the rules. That's the con.
That's far more interesting than the actual game. So.
Matrix Manfred. Oh man.
So yeah.
Also, I was just thinking about this earlier.
Put an asterisk next to Schwarber's MVP award.
I mean, whatever. You want to do the swing off? It's fine. People are talking.
That'd
about
be
it,
so
obviously.
funny if Jonathan Arando was the MVP.
They clearly they made the right decision, but like people are talking about it, but like what's wrong with the tie anymore? Like if they just were like there might be an all-star game tie, like just fucking live with it. Like
oh, can you believe
that would be the worst thing in the world. Like what?
Oh,
Who
there
cares?
would be conniptions from
Why?
there would be conniptions from the 58-year-olds who watch the
We're not
MLB All-Star
playing this
game.
anymore. Guys
When
have
was
to go to
that
the beach.
tie? Was it like 2008 or something like that? There's
2002,
a
I think.
tie. Yeah, something like that. There was a tie in the
No,
2000s.
I get.
And I
why,
remember
like,
being like a child and being like, "Yeah, this is wholly unsatisfying."
I love Logan like mansplaining why that there was a tie in the All-Star game. It's like, man, we lived through that. It's like Gen Z explaining. Whatever you are. But like,
I'm a
but if they were
millennial.
just up front, like the problem with the All-Star game tie when that happened was like it had never happened before, and they just hadn't really prepared any sort of contingency plan, and they ran out of players. Like if we just all accept the fact that the All-Star game could end in a tie, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that's
or they could
Do you
just
remember
call
the
it, like,
confusion? I was so confused at that time. Like the game and all of a sudden they're like meeting at home plate. Like it's like the beginning of the game, and I'm like, what are we restarting the game? Like what's happening here?
Me and my coworkers were talking about the year that Brad Lidge was warming up for like 7 straight innings. It's like Brad Lidge is up, Brad Lidge is down, Brad Lidge is up, Brad Lidge is down. And it's like, yeah, some manager, whoever that was, like Brad Mills at the time, was probably like having steam come out of his ears, but seeing his pitcher go up and down. But yeah, I mean, I like the swing off concept. It's also very baseball for them to like we are 3 people dialed into baseball and we didn't know this was a thing. Yeah. I hate the fact that the game starts at 8 in the first place. That's East Coast bias anyways. But I know right away, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to stick around to watch, whoever, Justin Wilson play because this game's going to go until 11 o'clock. But if I knew that was around, it's like I probably would have at least hung around longer. But
I think.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say my blazing unrealistic take is that they should the All-Star game should start at 3:00 in the afternoon, and it should be entirely focused on kids. It should be like the Nickelodeon broadcast, like just have it in the afternoon, have it just not for old stupid people like me at all, just totally micro focus it on kids. And just be like, hey, look at how fun baseball is. You're over by 6:30, and get out of there. Yep.
Especially in the summer. Like,
yep. Exactly.
And I actually had this thought the other night, not as dramatic as that, but like, I was like, it's been tough to get my 4-year-old into sports. Like, he's not totally into it yet, and whatever, that's fine, and maybe he never does. But like, the home run derby feels like perfect for a 4-year-old. It's like, just watch this guy hit the ball as far as he can. Look where it landed. That's cool, huh? The thing starts at like 8:30. He's in bed. Like you know what I mean? Like that type. Yeah. Like with that sort of thing, like the ratings can't be good enough to justify like needing to have it at 8 o'clock, and be in prime time. Like you can, and then replay it if you want. I don't know.
When the All-Star game was in Houston, I think it was 2005 or 2004. That was the year that it was like Miguel Tejada, Rafael Palmeiro, and it just kept going and going. And I was like 9 or 10 at the time. And I remember like that home run derby is burned into my brain. Like when I think of that, it's like everything's being compared to that. And it's like, yeah, they now just put everything so late at night. It's like college basketball games tipping off at 9 o'clock for the title game. It's just, yeah, they wonder why they can't get young fans. It's like you bury your marquee events late at night.
All right, old people don't want to stay up for games. That's the way we're old men, and we're taking our nap in the easy chair.
I stay up late for it, but then I'm mad about it. I'm like, well, I'm an adult who can make decisions on my own, and I chose to stay up for this.
That's my thing. I've got no interest in the swing. Like the All-Star game's awesome because like I watched 3 innings of it last night, and I was like, all right, cool, that's good. Yeah. I'm going to bed. Like, this is fun. I checked the summer box. Like, I'm going to bed now. I don't give it. I don't care. Like, you can go do whatever you want after I go to bed. I don't give a shit.
There you go.
Luckily, the jerseys were back. That was big.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I loved that. Yeah, that was.
I did not love the Mariners and the Rays wearing alternates, but yeah, for the most part, the jerseys.
But still, whatever. We don't need to get it. I just like the Cubs have the greatest uniform in sports, and like the fact that they would ever wear anything else is just. Yep.
I promise this will be my last point, but and I just lost my train of thought.
Jerseys?
Never mind. My last point's been made. Yeah, we were talking about jerseys. Yeah, the uniform was right, and then it just hot escaped me. Wow. I think it was tangentially related. Yeah,
all right, we'll hold on to eventually. We'll jump off next week with hot points by Logan. All right.
Oh, the Futures game. I agree with the point that was ridiculous that they put the Futures game at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, or it might have been 7 o'clock on a Saturday. It was going up against like multiple games before they were about to have a week off from baseball. Like I saw somebody say they should just put the Futures game as the lead into the All-Star game. Totally agree.
Or lead into the Home Run Derby.
Or into the Home Run Derby, yeah.
Well, this is all a TV thing because it used to be on the Sunday night, but they put the draft on Sunday night now. So
yeah,
God, yeah, they want to put the draft on TV. So
it's put the Wednesday and Thursday after the All-Star break are the 2 slowest days on the sports calendar at any point in the year. It's like, how could you not put that game on Wednesday?
I bet you like minor league teams are like, screw that. We need those gates because that's the only time people are.
Yeah,
that's true. All right. I think we're really done this time. For Mike, for Logan, I've been Ben. Thank you very much. Signing off. NPC Sports Podcast.